All right, ready to dive into a really wild one.
Let's do it.
The Travis Walton incident.
Oh, yeah. I remember this one.
You've shared the Wikipedia article with us about this, so this is going to be fun.
Yeah.
We're going back to 1975 for this.
Okay.
UFOs are all over the news
Right.
shows, like In Search Of.
Oh, yeah.
Had everybody glued to their TVs.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of the perfect setup for this.
It's interesting you should say that because this case actually predates most of those common alien abduction narratives.
Okay.
So, like, before Travis Walton, these stories weren't really as prevalent.
Really?
So his account really stands out.
Wow.
Because of that.
So set the scene for us.
Okay.
Arizona in 1975, what happened?
Well, Travis Walton was a young forestry worker,
Okay.
and he vanished. 5 days later, he reappears with a wild story about being abducted by aliens.
Oh, okay.
And what's really intriguing is even today, there's still so much debate about what actually happened.
Really?
The Wikipedia articles you shared even digs into a lot of the skepticism around his claims. So
It sounds like a movie.
it does.
We got a mysterious disappearance, a UFO sighting, a story that just seems unbelievable.
Right.
Give us the details. What exactly did Walton and his crew say happened?
So Walton and his logging crew were driving home after a day in the Apache Sitgreaves National Forest
Okay.
when they allegedly encountered a strange glowing object above the ground.
Wait, so hold on. Imagine you're in that truck,
Yeah.
sun's setting, you're driving through the Arizona desert, and
Uh-huh.
suddenly you see this thing. I mean, I can see why they stopped. So what happened next?
Well, Walton, apparently very curious, gets out of the truck to get a closer look.
Okay.
He claims he was then hit by a beam of light and he vanishes.
Vanished.
Gone.
He's just gone.
The crew, they searched for him for a little bit, but they panicked.
Yeah.
And they drove into town to report it.
Oh, wow.
And that's when authorities get involved.
Okay.
And of course, suspicion falls on the crew.
Right. Because this is... Because
And where is he?
He's gone without a trace.
This is where things get a little,
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm already suspicious.
Right.
But before we get into all that,
Okay.
the logging crew, their contract,
Yeah.
didn't it have some kind of clause about acts of God?
It did. Yeah, they had an act of God clause.
Okay, so
Which essentially meant that if anything happened that was totally unforeseeable...
like totally out of their control,
Okay.
they wouldn't be penalized for not finishing the work.
So are we talking about an incredible encounter with the unknown here? Or a cleverly disguised insurance scam?
Right.
I mean, I can already see why people are fascinated by this.
And we're just getting started.
Oh, no.
Because remember, it's the 1970s.
Yeah.
UFOs are in the headlines constantly.
Okay.
And remember that reward that the National Enquirer was offering.
$1,000.
$5,000, which back then was a huge sum of money
Yeah, it still is.
for proof of alien life.
Right.
So naturally, they're all over this story.
Of course, of course.
In fact, they ended up giving Walton and his crew an award for Best UFO Case of the Year.
Wow, talk about a media frenzy.
Yeah.
You've got this reward. You've got this award.
All right.
You've got this unbelievable story.
Right.
This is not just some local news anymore.
No,
This
no.
is everywhere.
It's everywhere.
But with all that attention,
Yeah.
all that scrutiny, didn't they give everyone lie detector tests?
They did. Polygraph tests were huge back then.
Oh, yeah.
They were seen as almost infallible
Wow.
by the public.
Okay.
So Walton and his crew,
Yeah.
they're subjected to multiple tests.
Okay.
And the results, well, let's just say they were a mixed bag.
A mixed bag. What does that mean?
Well, some passed, some were inconclusive.
Okay.
There were even accusations of countermeasures being used,
Countermeasures. What is that?
like, ways to try to fool the polygraph.
Oh,
All right.
okay. So we've got this cloud of doubt,
Yeah.
this act of God clause.
Right.
The media's all over it. Mm-hmm.
And these polygraph results that really don't tell us anything.
Yeah.
But what about Walton? What about those 5 days? What did he say happened? It's like we're missing some puzzle pieces here.
Yeah.
You've got this air of suspicion around the crew,
Right,
these
yeah.
polygraph tests that don't give us a clear answer.
Exactly.
And then there's Walton.
Mm-hmm.
What about those 5 days?
Right.
I mean, what did he say happened after he disappeared into that light?
Well, he claimed that he woke up
Okay.
in this bright, sterile room,
Okay.
almost like a hospital room.
Oh, wow.
He said he was being watched by these short, bald beings
Okay.
with large, intense eyes.
interesting.
Yeah.
Because that whole image, the grays, we call them,
Right.
the large-eyed humanoid aliens, that's so ingrained in our culture now.
It is. But Walton's story, this is before a lot of those common depictions.
Yeah, it predates a lot of that.
Wow.
So
he's describing being examined?
yeah, he said he couldn't recall any specific medical procedures or experiments or anything like that.
Okay.
But he did mention a plastic mask
Oh, really?
being placed over his face
Okay.
right before he blacked out again.
Now that's creepy.
Yeah.
That sounds like, again, like a sci-fi movie.
Right.
With all these claims. I mean, someone had to be skeptical.
Oh, absolutely.
Right.
Yeah, there was this UFO researcher, Philip J. Klass.
Okay.
He really dug into the details of this.
Okay.
And pointed out inconsistencies in the crew's stories.
Like what? What kind of inconsistencies?
Well, for instance, there were discrepancies in how they described the UFO and the sequence of events leading up to Walton's disappearance.
Interesting.
And then on top of that,
Yeah.
he uncovered evidence suggesting that Walton might have failed a polygraph
Really?
before the alleged abduction.
Wow.
It was supposedly related to a theft,
Okay.
not aliens or anything.
Okay.
But Klass argued that it cast doubt on Walton's credibility.
So we've got this researcher suggesting a pattern of deception,
Right.
maybe some motives for the crew to lie. And on the other hand,
Yeah.
you've got this incredibly detailed story from Walton.
Right, exactly.
It's no wonder this became such a sensation.
It's a crazy story.
He wrote a book, right?
He did, yeah, 1978.
Okay.
The Walton Experience.
Okay.
Which, of course, fueled even more public interest in this whole thing.
Of course. And then there's the movie.
Yeah.
We can't forget about the Hollywood adaptation.
Right, yeah.
Fire in the Sky.
1993.
That movie gave me nightmares.
It's scary.
How close was it to his actual account?
Let's just say Hollywood took some creative liberties.
Okay.
It was definitely inspired by his book,
Yeah.
but they definitely amped up the drama and the special effects.
Which makes you wonder,
Yeah.
how much do these fictionalized retellings
Right.
influence how we see this?
Yeah, exactly.
You know, do they make us more likely to believe?
Mhm.
Less likely. It's
Yeah.
it's really interesting to think about.
That line between fact and fiction and entertainment can get really blurry.
Right, and then all these years later,
Yeah.
you've got this whole new theory that comes out that doesn't involve spaceships
Right.
or aliens. Tell me about the fire lookout tower theory.
So in 2021,
Okay.
a researcher named Robert Schieffer,
Okay.
he suggested that the crew might have used the Gentry Fire Lookout Tower
Okay.
to stage the whole thing.
A fire lookout tower.
Yeah.
That's kind of an interesting theory.
It is.
How would that even work?
Well, his theory was that they used the tower's spotlight
Okay.
to mimic that beam of light that Walton described.
Okay, so it's possible.
It's a more, I guess, more grounded explanation.
Right.
But you still got,
It still requires some imagination.
you got to suspend your disbelief a little bit.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, how much planning would something like that even take?
Right.
And wouldn't somebody have noticed?
You'd think so, right?
Yeah.
I mean, but that's what makes this case so fascinating.
Yeah.
It's just full of all these what ifs and maybes.
Right.
And even after all the investigations,
Yeah.
all the different theories and everything,
Mm.
we're still left wondering
Yeah.
what really happened.
So where do things stand now?
Right.
I mean, was Travis Walton abducted by aliens?
Yeah.
Was it all just a big hoax?
Right?
Or was it something else? I mean, what do you think?
It's impossible to say for sure.
Really?
And I think that's kind of the beauty of these kinds of cases.
Okay.
They really spark our curiosity.
Yeah.
They make us question what we believe.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they remind us that sometimes
Yeah.
the truth can be even stranger than fiction.
Or the truth is...
Or the truth is just a really good story.
Right. Exactly.
You know,
Yeah.
it makes you think about, like, what even is the truth? Like, how do we define evidence?
Mm-hmm.
How much are we all influenced by our
Yeah.
own biases?
Our desire to believe in something.
Our desire to believe.
Yeah.
Right.
It's like you said, we're drawn to the unknown.
We are.
Whether it's space,
Yeah.
whether it's, consciousness,
Right.
all these things that we can't quite explain.
Exactly. Those mysteries.
Yeah, and I think the Travis Walton incident is more than just a UFO story.
It's true.
It's about the power of belief.
Mm-hmm.
It's about the allure of the unknown.
Right.
That fine line between fact and fiction.
Exactly.
It's a story that we're still talking about
It's true.
almost 50 years later.
It's amazing.
It still fascinates us.
It does.
Who knows? Maybe someday we will know.
Maybe
but
so.
until then, it's
Okay.
up to us to decide
Exactly.
what we believe.
What do you think?
So what do you think happened to Travis Walton
Right.
back in 1975 in the Arizona desert?
Mm-hmm.
Was it aliens? Was it a hoax?
Yeah.
Something else?
Let us know.
We want to know what you think.
We'd love to hear your theories.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.